Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's welcome in Big Cal from Big Cal's Truck Kitchen. He's gracious enough to talk to us a little bit about his trucking experience. Cal, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you. It's so great to be here. I really appreciate the invitation to be able to come on your podcast and to share a little bit of trucking knowledge or anything we were going to talk about this evening.
Yeah, that's great. Cal's got a pretty cool Facebook channel. He does updates every day, multiple times a day. Starts off the day with coffee with Cal and shares his experiences on the road with everybody. It's really a great, positive, uplifting experience.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun doing this. We had talked earlier and everything, and I was mentioning to you that I was back in mid-August when the page kicked off, of course, with the 0 followers, and now I just checked my page when I stopped today and getting really, really close to that 2,100 following mark. So it's a tremendous blessing to be able to have this many people coming along for the ride. I feel gracious that people just tune in and like to hear the stories from the road and what I'm cooking. And like you said, coffee with Cal in the morning, just wishing everybody a wonderful day and just getting on and just saying hi to everybody.
So you've been at this a while, right? So tell us about the beginnings of your trucking career. How'd you get into trucking?
Well, I remember coming out of high school and just working a little bit of a job and everything. I'd always been very curious about traveling. My mom and dad both drove. I had some uncles that drove as well, and I just like going on road trips and stuff like that. So I remember that's something I kind of stayed tuned in on. Whenever I got to being real close to 21, I remember going to truck driving school. Do you remember MS Carriers from Memphis, Tennessee? They got bought out
Yeah,
by
sure
Swift.
do. Blue and white
Yep.
trucks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Mike Starnes was the owner there. I had ended up seeking out their school and I applied and everything. And I went down just after I turned 21. And yeah, I was very excited to do that. And that's where I got my starting from. Got an amazing trainer. He had been driving about 15 years and we went out for about 7 weeks together. More after about 3.5, he said, "Man, you're ready to be cut loose." I said, "Well, let's take a couple more weeks. Let's have a good time and everything." So it just all kind of spiraled from there, just running over the road for literally just about the last 29 years.
Yeah. So what year was that when you got started?
I was right around 1996.
Cool. So what kind
Yes,
of
sir.
truck did you have starting out in 1996 that you got your feet wet with?
Well, when we were in school, we did the old Freightliner FLD 120s. There was a couple of cab overs I remember, but Freightliner Century class was my first truck. And right when I passed off my trainer's truck, and I was one of his only students within that year that had got seated into a brand new truck for all the skills that I'd done out there with him, my performance reviews, and everything like that. I got seated into a brand new truck, and I'll never forget that truck number is 18045. So that definitely stuck in my head, and that was really really neat to be able to do that.
I wrote that down a few times, did you?
Yeah, that number just rolls around in my head. I got one picture of me with that truck, and whenever I had first come home after being out with my trainer truck and getting signed my own equipment and everything, so I do have one picture of that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm terrible now at remembering numbers because I don't remember phone numbers anymore because you just type them in your phone once. And like if I was stranded on the side of the road, like I don't know if I could get a hold of any, but maybe my mom. I still remember my mom's phone number because it's been the same for like 40 years. So I think I can find my
Yes, sir.
mom.
Yeah, I feel the same way. We used to know phone numbers and all the kinds of stuff and be able to rattle it off. And I thought about that. Me and a friend of mine, we were having that discussion not too long ago, and I was able to come up with, of course, my wife's phone number, her cell number, and I got about three-quarters of my mom's cell number right, and that was about it. So I wouldn't even be able to call work or, maybe we'd be good for 911 in case something bad happened. But
Yeah, times have changed.
yes, sir.
So what kind of work have you been up to over these 29 years? That's quite a span.
Oh yeah. Well, MS carriers, and I'm not going to go through my whole job history, but did a little bit of flatbed and RGN work for about a year, and then like you and I talked before, I drove with Transport America, just running OTR. A lot of OTR. Something that really stuck out was for about 4 years I ran rock and roll shows to where I toured with different bands. I worked with an owner operator who had 4 trucks, and I did that for 4 years. And whenever you signed up on a tour, you were out for the whole time, whether it be 2 or 3 weeks or 3 or 4 months, and just toured with everybody from rap and rock and roll to gospel to gymnastics groups to the symphony orchestras and stuff. So that was a real unique experience for all the different venues and the different places we went to.
Yeah, no doubt. So is that when did you have one of the kind of the bigger sleeper cabs for that?
No, it was just a regular truck and trailer like we have now, and
Oh,
it would
okay.
be anywhere from like a 2 truck tour the whole way up to the one time we went into Madison Square Garden with Britney Spears, and it was 41 tractor and trailers just specifically for her for that show. It was pretty crazy.
Wow. Yeah, no doubt.
Hmm.
41
Mm.
trucks worth of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There was 4 trailers. It was just subwoofers. I was trailer, let's say 36, and they said exactly 727. You have to be backing in off of whatever it was, 45th Street, to come into Madison Square Garden. Not 726, not 727, but 725. You must be backing in. No ifs, ands, or buts. So yeah, it was pretty nerve wracking to hit those exact times that they wanted you to be there.
Wow. Yeah. You see some of those trucks running around, whether it's the show rigs or the NASCAR
Hmm.
rigs and stuff like that. And you're like, yeah, that must be a whole different type of trucking.
Yeah, it really is. It's just like retail. Retail's a whole different thing of trucking. We were talking earlier. I did the whole Walmart tour for 3 years driving for them, and to run the rock and roll shows. I mean, it was so much different than freight. You really got to look at it at a whole different angle when you're doing that, opposed to actually hauling general commodities and everything. When they say the show must go on, basically hell or high water, I don't even know how else to place it. The show must go on. There's no excuses. You have got to be there. So especially when you're a big part of the show hauling the stuff that's just completely irreplaceable for the show to go on.
So, what are some of your favorite trucking stories?
Mm.
That's opening a can
So,
of worms, right?
oh man, I knew you were going to put me on the spot with that. Oh my goodness, some of my favorite trucking stories. I actually, one of my favorite trucking stories. You've heard of the artist Billy Joel, the Piano
Yep.
Man, right?
Yep.
Okay. The very first time that I'd met him, we were down where the Duck Stadium is, and I think it was Pasadena, California. We were doing a load in, and it was one of my very first trips out doing this. And I can remember we were getting the trailers offloaded and stuff, and they were getting ready to do sound check and whatever else. Now, this stadium was absolutely huge. And so the microphone, I just went up and tapped it, not knowing what I was doing. I went up and tapped it, and I started singing, "Sing me a song, you're the piano man," just totally goofing around. And here comes walking up behind me and taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, do you mind if I give that a try?" And it was Billy Joel himself. I was so embarrassed, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, of course. So, yeah, just some of the stars that I got to meet over that 4 year span, some of the people that I've gotten to meet. And like we had talked about Christianity earlier, I mean, I've been to visiting 60 to 70 churches and all the different services I've been to and people that I've gotten to meet and went out to lunch with, of course, and fellowshipped and had all kind of different church events and just different shows and concerts and everything. It's really, truly just been an adventure. My goodness, we could go on for hours and hours with just stories of just out of those two realms of trucking.
I was talking with Danger Dave on episode 1, and I mean, most of our stories about dumb things that we did and
Mm-hmm.
mishaps that we created ourselves and had to figure out our ways out of. But you know, it's
Yeah.
nice to hear somebody has cool stories like that.
Yes, sir. Well, when within my first, I think it was 3 or 4 months of trucking, I was out solo, and there was no GPS, there was no phone. You just had to grab your map book and your log book and just take off and just do it. I can remember I got lost up in Vermont on a very, very snowy night. I don't know how I did it, but I ended up on the very top of a mountain in a ski lodge. And I swear to you, I quit my job 1,000 times over. I said, "How did I end up here?" Well, I didn't hurt any equipment or nothing, but it was an actual bobcat that got up there, and even he asked the question, "How did you make it up top of the hill? We've never had a semi up here." I said, "I don't know. I was looking for places that are around because Vermont, you can't be off the beaten path too far, or else you can get a ticket or something." The roads were so bad going up that I literally had to wait till the next morning. Of course, they plowed them a few times, and I still had to be guided to get back down. And it was so questionable. When I went back down, it scared the bejesus out. And I thought, how, at the love of God, did I? It marveled me. But I made it down without a scratch as well. But that night, I quit my job 1,000. I was like, "This is stupid. I can't do this. I'm tired of getting lost. I'm this, I'm that." But yeah, once I got through the first 6 months, I just kept pressing on, and things eventually got better. I never lost respect for the industry, but things have definitely gotten better. And I've had some crazy mishaps, a few accidents, a few this, a few that, and whatever else, and all the trials and tribulations that a lot of the over the road guys face, tickets and accidents and mishaps and whatever else. So yeah, it's definitely been an adventure. And we were saying earlier as well, I feel like sometimes I've lived the life of 3 different people, or the amount of adventures that 3 different people have lived in their lifetime, just seen so much, done so much, experienced so much. And right when you thought you've seen it all, and right when you thought nothing can get any crazier than what I've seen in this past year, nope, nope.
Wait
Yeah,
till tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just wait till the next 10 minutes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a different lifestyle, right? And the experiences, like we were talking about earlier. I remember this was probably maybe mid to late 90s. I was delivering at a place down in New York City, and I was standing there with a guy on the dock. And, he saw on the
Hmm.
inside of my trailer was painted that you're from Minnesota. And so he asked me, like, you really from Minnesota? And I'm like, yeah, I'm from Minnesota. And he goes, have you ever seen a cow? And I'm like, you mean like the animal, like the one we get milk from? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, we got a lot of them. And he's like, how big is it? Is it really as big as they say? And I'm like looking at him kind of funny. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, they're about, stand about head high at the shoulder and look down at you mostly.
Hmm.
And he's like, man, I never seen a cow before. And I'm like, how is that humanly possible? Right. Like, but
Hmm.
I mean, he told me he'd never been out of Brooklyn before.
Yeah,
And I mean,
yeah,
it blew my mind, right? To even consider, like, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, there's got to be more to offer than just cornfields and soybean fields. Like, I gotta go find it. But other people live lives where they're kind of in a very small circle, and they don't get to see anywhere near the experiences and things that we've seen as truck drivers.
yeah. I've experienced that as well, being in Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and stuff. People, they just live in, let's say, like a 6 or a 9 block radius. Everything I have is right here. I got my deli, I got the hardware store, I got the this, I got the that, and they've been just right there in. People from Brooklyn. Oh, I'm not going into the city. What do I need to go to New York, into Manhattan for? I got everything right here in Brooklyn. This is my neighborhood. I'm not leaving. And I've actually met people in Hasidic Jewish neighborhoods that they never left. They said, my people are right here. I don't need to go anywhere. I'm going to stay right here. I got to load your trailer. I'm going to go right here. I live 3 blocks down the road. I'm coming back to work. And it just blew my mind for the amount of traveling. I figured out my miles and everything like that. I ran a total on it. I think it was the mid of last year, I'd hit 4 million miles.
Wow.
Yeah, I run pretty aggressively, about 160. I ran 163,000 miles last year. And there's been some years it's been closer up to paper logs where it's closer to 200,000, but just staying out and being gone OTR for so long. But it amazes me just how people just lock their sights in, just staying in their own little hometown. They'd never getting out, never getting away. Granted, we see things from the windshield. A lot of times I've been past Niagara Falls 93 times, let's say. I've heard the water. I've smelled the water. Have I ever seen it? No, you can't get a 53-foot trailer up through there.
Right.
So yeah, just never had the time. Went to Tonawanda, went to Buffalo, picked up the loads, delivered here, delivered that. Nope, still haven't got a chance to see it. Never took no time off or any time off to be able to see those sites and stuff. But when we were doing the rock and roll shows, if a tour was, let's say, we did a lot of stuff with Jimmy Buffett. So if it was like a 3 day thing, when we got there, we got set up. We figured out we were parking our trucks and trailers. We had to be back for loadout at a certain time. So the next 3 days was yours. Basically, just don't get put in jail, don't get arrested, and do anything stupid. So then we would get an Uber or get rental car or whatever else, and then we just went out sightseeing through the wine countries in California or up through Canada or just wherever. And that was a really unique experience to where you could really get out and see things other than just looking at things through the windshield.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm. So that was a really short time. Like I said, it was about 4.5 years of doing that. But I feel like I've had so many experiences with all the different people that I got to meet and whatever else. But even out of it all, I was never really starstruck by anybody. I just always had a mentality, well, I'll put our pants on one leg at a time. I did have respect for people that are big in the music industry and stuff and whatever else, but I don't think I've ever been truly starstruck by anybody. I always gave them the respect, pulling for their tours and whatever else and whatnot. But yeah.
So tell me about Big Cal's Kitchen. How'd you get started with that?
Well, there was a page that I'd like to put my meals out. My wife helps me meal prep and everything like that, or does a lot of my meal prep. So then that way, when I go out on the road for 2, 3 weeks, everything's frozen in containers and put in Ziploc bags. And then when I go home, it's like Russian roulette, man. I'm just pulling meals out. I'm not even looking to see what I'm having. I'm just pulling. All right, my refrigerator holds 16 meals. That'll last me about 3 weeks. Hot meal every other day or every day or whatever else. So, anyways, I found this cooking page on Facebook and I introduced myself one day and say, hey, my name's Calvin and I like to cook in my truck and I like to bring meals from home, blah, blah, and everything. And it was all about just genuine cooking and just regular food and stuff. And so it started taking off a little bit and people were following me and, hey, truck driver, be safe. And then people asked questions about trucking. Hey, you're one of the first truckers we've had on this page, blah, 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 blah. So I was, after getting a pretty good following, my post started picking up a lot of traction and just sharing a good word and posting my meals and what I was doing out on the road and stuff, and kept it within the page standards. And all of a sudden, this lady inboxed me one time and she says, really? 2,500 likes off a bowl of chicken noodle soup? Or no, it was homemade chicken pot pie. That's what it was. Homemade chicken pot pie. Are you serious? It's like, what are you talking about? She said, I can't believe the amount of traction, the amount of likes and comments and everything people get. She said, have you ever thought about running your own page? I said, no, ma'am. I said, I have no interest in it. I really don't probably even have time to do that or anything, or even would know what to do. So after her virtually reaching through the phone, grabbing my arm and twisting for about a couple weeks, I was like, fine, you set it up and we'll see what happens. So her and I corresponded over Messenger for about 2 months, and she's like, what about this, what about that? We fished around for the name, we came up with the logo and all, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. It'd be neat if something like this really took off. So all of a sudden one day I was off, I was out on the road, and she sent me a message. She said, whenever you're ready. I said, what do you mean? She said, I have everything set up. Here's the name, here's the password, here's everything. It's all developed. All you got to do is just go in through your device, log in, and it's all yours. I said, are you serious? She said, yep, it's ready to go. So I went on there and I started looking through, completely lost on what this whole page was from the very beginning. And she was walking me through some stuff virtually. And I remember creating a welcome to, and this is what I'd like to do with the page, and any suggestions, any help, whatever, from anybody that may sign up with me, give me a holler and see. So it started off as every other day or whatever, and just trying to feel things out, and very close personal friends from the original cooking page. I had sent them invitations, of course, family and friends, other truckers and stuff. And I was always keeping an ear open of, hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you tweak that? And blah, 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 so on and so forth. And then before I knew it, people from other Facebook pages where I was sharing my meals and sharing an inspirational word and stuff, they heard about it and got the invitation, and they gave me a follow and a like on my page. And we were talking earlier, as of right now, I think it's 2,078 people are following my page with about 1,400 likes. And I'm just completely blown away that in such a short amount of time, just how much this has taken off, and the amount of interaction from so many different people with this is just absolutely amazing. Whenever I'm out here and I got some decent content and stuff, I'm able to post usually sometimes just 1 or 2 times a day. I've gone up as high as 5 times. My kids rode with me last summer, and almost every meal we ate, because I let my kids interact when we were cooking in the truck, pancakes and eggs. We made cookies and we did this, we did that. And I mean, that stuff right there blew up on its own. And we just had a really good time with it as well. So it's just a daily occurrence. And now it just seems like it's truly a part of my life, to where I wake up in the morning, like you were saying, coffee with Cal is a little segment I do in the morning, to where Facebook lets me do a 3-minute reel. So I'd get on there, usually sometimes 1 or 2 takes. Sometimes I can do it on the first, sometimes it's five, just depending upon the lighting and everything. 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, up to 6, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And just to get on and just leave an inspirational message. Hey, just coffee with Cal. Thanks for joining my page, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And I just, leaving a nice message for people. Hey, just have a great day. Whatever happened yesterday, don't let it bother you. We're going to have a great day today. Don't talk about the whole Monday's blues thing or whatever. And this is what I'm doing. And this is where I'm kind of going in the general vicinity and stuff. So that's kind of taken off. And that's usually about 6 days a week, and sometimes 7. Of course, whenever I'm home, sometimes that doesn't get on, and people understand that and they respect that, because I'm home with my family. So that's kind of the gist of what's going on with the Big Cow's Trucking Kitchen.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it doesn't take very many before I got hooked, right? And then I was like, where's Cal this morning? What's Cal up to? Which state's he in?
Mm-hmm.
Which way's he going? Whether it's good weather, bad weather, big news over the weekend, you got a new truck. So,
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was very blessed about that this past weekend. I was blessed with a brand new truck, and I'm on, I think, my third trip with it. I'm sorry, my second trip with it. And the company I work for is just a phenomenal company. I don't really plug them, but my coffee cup has the truck's name on it, and of course pictures of the truck and everything like that. I've never heard my company say, hey, don't put us on there. I'm sure they're probably getting some sort of, I don't know, I don't even want to say good reviews or whatever, but I'm sure people definitely know who Dick Levy Trucking is now, by now. But just out of protection for myself, and I guess you say protection for what I'm hauling and everything, I never give my exact location unless I'm leaving. because then I'm on the move. And that way, that kind of protects me and protects the company's equipment and everything like that. That way, just in case there is that loon tune out there, that man, Big Cal, he's down to such and such. We're gonna go find his truck and beat on his door at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, man, I seriously doubt anything like that would ever happen. But it is pretty cool though, because a few drivers from Dick Levy, they follow me. Of course, my friends are everything like that, and I've actually been recognized a few times, even at a truck stop. I'm walking across. I mean, I'm 6'10". I got a big tattoo of a spider web on my head. I'm a pretty big boy, so I stand out like a sore thumb. I'm not kidnapping nobody or robbing a bank or stealing a car anytime soon, because I've been driving for so long, been recognized all over the country. But yeah, walking across the truck stop parking lot or in the thing or whatever, and I've had people just stop and point at me, and I look at him. Can I help you? Big House Trucking Kitchen. I was like, are you serious? So that is just, man, it just made me grin from ear to ear. I was like, yeah, man. He's like, yeah, I'm so and so or whatever. And I commented on this post or blah, blah, blah. Man, I love your content. I was like, man, sure enough. Come on, man, let's get some more followers. This is great, you know. And so just being recognized like that, it's just, wow, that's pretty cool, you know. I mean, it's right there in the trucking industry, of course. But yeah, that's really, really neat.
Yeah, that's cool. I do have to ask a question because I did notice it on one of your posts a while back, a few
Mm-hmm.
days back, which was I did see the Trailer Park Boys up on your iPad or your screen there. You a Trailer
Yes.
Park Boys fan?
I got into I'm in about season 8. It's a pretty risky show. It's one of those things that it's almost like a train wreck. You need
Yeah,
to look away. You probably should look away, but at the same time, you're kind of spreading your fingers and peeking through your fingers because you just want to see what happens next. Yeah, but I think I'm in season 9 now, and I'm about ready to delete it off the queue just because it's just getting more monotonous and everything. But I'm a big Seinfeld fan. Everything I watch on my iPad through Netflix or through my Apple account. Got a whole bunch of movies and TV shows downloaded, but yeah, it's always about Seinfeld. Seinfeld's always usually playing in the background, even for just background noise while I'm messing on Facebook or doing whatever. So
sure.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a big Trailer Park Boys fan, especially the truck driving parts. And I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of the mid, when Ray's the truck driver and their adventures and Bubbles tries to get his CDL. I mean, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
there's just a level of goofiness to the show at times that you're just like when they hauled the rig cab into the trailer
Mm-hmm.
park and Ray was sleeping in the rig cab, Kenworth coffin sleeper.
Yeah. I think Bubbles is my favorite character because he's just so over and above and beyond. Got them real thick bottle glasses, Coke bottle glasses and everything, and he's an absolute scream, talking about having the kitty and bringing
Yeah.
people's cats in to take care of them and stuff. But yeah, what's that whole show is just a train wreck. But it like I said, it's so funny. Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. There's a guy on. It's almost like the same thing. There's a guy on YouTube, Dread Pirate Trucker. Have you ever heard of him?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
He's an absolute loose cannon. And a buddy of mine turned me on to him. He's like, you just got to watch one video. You'll be hooked. I said, what do you mean? He's, man, this guy's a train wreck. It's either the very best or the very worst of things. Okay. So I turned it on, and this guy's about 1,000% drama. And all of a sudden, hey, just want to do the big reveal. I'm working for such and such company. And he's like, oh, it's the greatest company in the world. Every orientation went good, blah, blah, blah. And this is the next video. Let me tell you why you shouldn't drive for. So he's been like 37 orientations and wrecked a couple trucks and got stranded, and somebody blew his car up or something. And it's just like, oh my gosh, yeah, it really makes you feel good about yourself. It sucks how this bad stuff's happening to this guy, but how much chaos and drama as he calls it. But
Right.
yeah, I called my buddy back like 2 days later. He's like, what'd you think about old Dread Pirate? I said, man, I watched like 15 of his episodes. Man, I lost so much sleep in the last 2 days. I can't stop watching this guy. He's like, yeah, it makes you feel pretty good about yourself, doesn't it? I said, yeah, we're not doing too bad out here.
It's all in which lens you look at things from, right?
Yeah, exactly. I try not to see the bad in people to make myself feel good, but some people, it's pouring. It is just pouring out. Like, man,
All right.
well, maybe this is the best that they can do, so we're still going to cheer them on and just hope for the best.
What I hope this podcast is about, like we talked about earlier, and what drew me into your content in particular
Hmm.
was just the positivity of it, right? There's plenty of
Yeah.
ways to find a way to complain about today, but let's start off the day with a cup of coffee and see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And last night I tried a new segment. I mean, it was something so simple and so basic, man, but the response from it was absolutely amazing. I think it had over 200 likes and about 75 comments. I put on there, I had my coffee ready for in the morning, a little bag of donuts and my coffee cup. Everything was ready. And I put on there, I hope everybody has a good night. I hope you had a great day, da da da. But the last paragraph was, I know a lot of people go to bed alone. I go to bed alone every single night. I'm always saying good morning, but let's change things up a little bit. A lot of people don't hear a heartfelt good night. And that's what I want to do this evening. I want to say, hope you get some good rest, have some good dreams, and that you go to bed with a forgiven heart and nothing weighing heavy on you and stuff. And just wishing people farewell, like a virtual tuck-in, I guess you would say. I know it sounds really corny, but I was like, man, that was laying heavy on my heart to do something like that. And I thought, okay, well, somebody's going, oh, this was stupid or something. And I'm always thinking the worst of things, but I couldn't believe the amount of, hey, Cal, good night. Thank you so much. I pray that the Lord keeps you safe tonight. And man, I hope you have a good evening. I hope you get some good rest and enjoy that new truck. And once again, just that little bit of positivity, man, it comes back just a hundredfold. And I'm like, wow, it's such a tremendous blessing. Even running into the bad storms and stuff like that, I tell people, hey, I just came through such and such. It was a bad storm. I'm so blessed to be parked here. Lots of trucks all over the road, upside down, freight everywhere. I'm, pulling the trigger. I'm just going to go ahead and stop for the night. And I appreciate every single prayer, appreciate every single good thought and message and everything. I just want to let you guys know and just check in real quick. I'm doing well. We need to pray for the other drivers, the first responders out there. Pray that everybody makes a good decision and gets stopped beforehand and not try and get that extra 5, 10 miles down the road. So, yeah, it's just, like I said, it's just beaming with positivity. And the messages that come pouring in, I don't want to say pouring, I'm sorry, maybe about 5 or 6 a week. Cal, the word that you shared, the scripture you shared, that was the on timing, because I'll actually get on there 1 o'clock in the morning. Hey, this was laying on my heart. I'm not sure who needs to hear this, but I felt that the Lord spoke into my spirit this morning, this evening, this afternoon, and just share a word. And man, the confirmations that come back, and it's like, my God, I've been struggling with this. I've been praying about this. I was asking the Lord for an answer about this particular question or about this particular thing. And I said, holy smokes. And it was just multiple confirmations about whatever I was talking about and stuff. So it felt great. And I think people in the world now, they need that positivity, because you turn on the news, it's depressing. You turn on TikTok or Instagram, and people's like, oh, this is happening, that's happening, this was killed, that was done, or whatever else. And just to share just a little bit of encouragement, regardless of even what's going on in my personal life, but just to share that little bit of encouragement to help lift others up, because that's what the Bible says. We're supposed to love one another the way Jesus loved us, and to lift, encourage, love, share, help, feed, take care of one another, and the Lord will definitely take care of us. So keeping it at the most general aspect that I can, not to really offend anybody. I mean, I'm very open with my Christianity and my faith, but not to offend anybody. I'm going to reach out and have a ministry of doing this and reach out and just encourage folks, because even from being out here on the road, being by myself and hardly ever interacting face to face with people, if I can share that kind of encouragement, if I can share that kind of an uplifting message and everything like that, and just it puts a smile on one person's face, even once a week with 25 posts. Then that right there, that smile could be like a stack of dominoes that falls. You never know the ripple effect that one smile that gets passed on to the one smile that gets passed on to the one smile, just that domino effect that's going to do.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. That's truly what it's all about, is just paying it forward, holding the door open. Have a great day. Have a blessed day. Can I help you out with that? Hey, excuse me, ma'am. Let me pay for your coffee. You got your hands full. Swiping your card real quick. Just different things like that, without looking for recognition, but just to be a decent, good, wholehearted, loving human being to somebody else. And that's honestly I had to wrap it up, that's what it is right there. It's just being a good person and just passing on that love, encouragement, and whatnot. So,
Yeah, I mean, you have no idea where those dominoes lead that you tip over when you do something like that. And
hmm
and and oftentimes they reach somebody who needs it most, right? It has a tendency to trickle to the person who needs it most, even though you may never see where those dominoes end. And we have an
right.
incredible power as a person to become a force multiplier. So yeah, well
hmm
said, Cal. And that's one of the reasons why,
Yeah.
I reached out to you, because there's a power in what you're doing. And
Yes.
I'm grateful for it as well. I'm grateful for every coffee with Cal I've had so far.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And I just wanted to share with you real quick my favorite Bible verse. And it's so simple, but yet so powerful. Hebrews 13:1. Let brotherly love continue, is what it says in the King James Version. It doesn't get any easier than that. let brotherly love continue. I don't care who you are. I don't care what faith you are. I don't care what skin color you are, where your background is. I'm going to show you as much love as what Christ shows me on a daily basis. So just trying to be as genuine and as transparent as I possibly can be.
Well, Cal, I can't thank you enough for jumping on the show with us and talking through your experiences and your page and your philosophy on things. It means a lot to a lot of people. So keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. Like I said, it was a tremendous blessing. I really appreciate you reaching out to me. And I'm very excited to be able to share your page on your YouTube channel and your page on my group. And I just hope maybe get a whole bunch of subscribers from it and everything, and people get a chance to, because there's people's all the time asking, what's this about trucking? What's that about trucking and stuff? And this here, from the little bit of each show that you've done so far that I've listened to, this is going to be a great insight for people to learn more about the transportation industry. I got friends that haul cattle, flatbed. They do all the stuff that I don't do. And I'm consistently, hey, what about this? Well, how do you secure those coils? Well, what do you run if you're hauling ice cream? What do you haul at this temperature? And then they pick my brain about things. So it's always neat to learn about something new. And so many people have just became curious about trucking that's fault is, well, I don't know this, or how do you sleep? How do you wash your dishes in the truck? And where do you take a shower at? How long are you out for and stuff? And so
Yeah.
it's really neat to be able to educate the general public and to be able to tell them, hey, stay away from the trucks going down the road. Either stay far behind them or get way up ahead of them. One in tires blow or something, it's definitely not going to end well for you. So, yeah, just about educating the public and also informing them about what's going on.
Yeah, there's still, I mean, yes, there's been TV shows and ice road truckers, and there's various,
Mm-hmm.
YouTubes and TikTok videos and all that stuff, but there's still a general mystery, even amongst ourselves, right? Of the stuff that we've
Mm-hmm.
never done, never hauled. You with your experience with the shows, that there's just plenty that we're just curious about, and it's fun to share that stuff with one another. I'd asked one guy who had made some nice comments on some YouTube videos. I'm like, when are you going to come on the show and tell your stories? And he's like, my stories are boring. Drive right now. I'm driving I think he called it an articulated dump truck. And I'm like, well, right there, like,
Yeah, what the heck is
what,
that?
what, what does that thing do? Like,
Right.
let's share some stories here. I don't know. I've met some well articulated truck drivers and some not so well articulated, but I never heard of an articulated truck. So
Wow.
we've
Okay.
got some things to unpack here.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's pretty neat. I
Yeah,
never thought
so
about it like that. Yeah.
we're gonna have to find out. But yeah, great having you on the show, Cal, and hopefully we can stay in touch. We'll probably get you back on here again.
All right, that sounds great. You have yourself a wonderful evening. Thanks for everything.
And you too.
All right. Bye bye.